Hi guys, so one of the things I find frustrating about the media, and in particular the BBC, is how they don't hold politicians to account. What I mean by this is that a question will be asked, a politician, usually a government minister, will lie, and the journalist simply moves on to the next question, or at the very most, mildly challenges them. But eventually the politician wins out and the individual asking the questions moves on. There was a sliver of hope in this interview between Brexiteer Jacob Rees-Mogg and Nick Robinson of the BBC, who allowed a number of lies to go unchallenged, but then did call out Mogg on one of them. Have a listen.
Well, the other thing that people say when they make the case that Boris Johnson isn't quite conservative enough is you've not got what they, I suspect you would have in the past called the Brexit dividend. There's not enough evidence of how Brexit has made the country more prosperous. It's an argument made by Lord Frost, who effectively was the Brexit secretary for Boris Johnson and quit the government.
Well, I think we are getting many of the bits of the Brexit dividend just quietly and unobtrusively. So last year, there was the issue in relation to HGV drivers. The Transport Secretary got rid of any number of regulations to allow more people to train and to become lorry drivers.
Okay, so unfortunately I have to interrupt because Nick Robinson isn't interrupting. Brexit created a shortage, and Jacob Rees-Mogg is pointing to how industry found a workaround. What they did basically was move drivers from one sector to another and pay them more in order to work in that sector. But that, of course, negatively impacted the sector where those drivers were moving from. And I've covered it before with bus drivers or people who drove bin collection trucks were moving into heavy goods vehicles, into that sector, into haulage, and they were creating problems where they were leaving. They were getting paid more, but of course that cost is being passed on to the consumer. So Brexit created a problem, industry found a workaround, and Jacob Rees-Mogg is claiming that this is some sort of Brexit dividend.
Many of which we couldn't have done had we still been within the European Union.
That's a lie. It was not necessary to leave the European Union in order to train up more drivers. That's an absolute lie, and unfortunately the BBC are not challenging him on that. It was not necessary to leave the European Union to train up drivers. Absolute horse crap.
You know, none of us was meant to be able to get a turkey for Christmas. I don't know about you. I don't know if you even like turkey.
This is something that Jacob Rees-Mogg does on a regular basis. He does it in the House of Commons as well. He goes off on some sort of tangent. He's claiming here that we weren't supposed to get a turkey. As if, you know, people were saying that there would be problems. And what he tries to do is he tries to exaggerate those problems into saying, oh, so we won't be able to get any turkeys. I've never said at any point during the year that nobody will be able to get a turkey. So he's engaging in a sort of straw man argument, saying, oh, the Remainers said nobody will be able to get a turkey. No, the turkey farmers have said that it would be difficult for them to get the workers necessary, and some of them will not be able to produce the turkeys. Now, what happened, once again, industry finding a way around the problem, many supermarkets simply purchased the turkeys from abroad. So a Brexit dividend was turkey farmers in Germany, for example, were benefiting from Brexit. So when Jacob Rees-Mogg talks about Brexit dividends, is he talking about Brexit dividends for Britain, or is he talking about Brexit dividends for European countries?
But we had our Christmas turkey, and I think most families did. So we have been doing things have been happening, but what there isn't is a sort of advert for it. There isn't a poster boy for...
So what he's complaining about here is that there isn't enough propaganda. We haven't, we were able to lie to people back in 2016, convince them to vote against their own interests. And now we need to be able to convince people again using some sort of propaganda, some sort of poster boy about all of these Brexit benefits or Brexit dividends.
Brexit freedoms. Those are coming. There's a bill passing through Parliament at the moment to allow for free ports, which we wouldn't have been able to do in the European Union.
Once again, a complete and utter lie. And where the hell is Nick Robinson? Is he asleep here? What's the point in having a journalist? Like, Nick Robinson is not some guy who is pulled off, doing photocopying and saying, look, you have to interview Jacob Rees-Mogg here. He's a journalist. He's been around for a long time. He knows, if I know that free ports are not a Brexit dividend because free ports existed in Britain until 2012 and it was a Conservative government that got rid of them, if I know that, Nick Robinson knows that. So why the hell is Nick Robinson not stopping Jacob Rees-Mogg and saying, oh, wait a minute, when did free ports end in the UK? Put him into a corner where he has to defend his position. Call him out on this. Say, so, Jacob, let me get this clear. There were no free ports in the UK in 2012. And Jacob Rees-Mogg would have to then lie. He'd have to say, oh, well, they were not real free ports or something like that. Then what you do is you create doubt. You undermine his argument because he's trying to sell this narrative that we needed to leave the European Union in order to have these free ports. There are free ports in the European Union. So, once again, lies, but you need to call them out. And I'm not an expert here. I'm not a journalist. But I'm doing a better job than Nick Robinson is.
There is a well thought through plan to deal with city regulation, to move back to a UK principles-based system. All of these things are happening and some of the benefits have come through.
Now, I don't know what that means, a UK-based principles system. I have no idea what that means, but either does Nick Robinson, it seems.
Obviously, the vaccine is the biggest example.
Well, the vaccine, as you know, could have been done with... Vaccine could have been done within the EU because the
I thought you might say that.
Well, it's not me saying it, Jacob Rees-Mogg. It's Kate Bingham on this podcast, and she's the woman who purchased it. So let's not waste time talking about whether we could have done the vaccine.
On it because no member state of the European Union did do it.
Hungary did it. Hungary is a member of the European Union, and it rolled out the vaccine either before or at the same time as the United Kingdom. Now, why hasn't Nick Robinson called that out? If I know this, obviously Nick Robinson knows it.
And even though it was technically possible.
But you didn't do it, and I didn't do it, and she did, and she said it on this podcast that she could have done it within the EU. Now,
I wish he had responded in a more robust way. A bit disappointed that he didn't. But there we have it. We have a liar, a charlatan, a Brexiteer, setting the narrative. So Jacob Rees-Mogg was able to talk about how a Brexit benefit is, we've created a problem with heavy goods vehicles, a shortage, but industry found a workaround, and that's a Brexit benefit. He talked about turkeys, even though the workaround was to import them from the European Union or to pay a higher price in the UK, and for him that's a Brexit benefit. The guy who was trying to sell the idea that food will be cheaper. There's a real failing, I think, in media to hold politicians like this to account. And, I don't think it's difficult. I don't think Jacob Rees-Mogg is talking about something so complicated that most people don't understand enough to be able to challenge him on it. He lied here. And I think it's important that we call it out. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee. So why not check it out?